Racing. They call this the Trophy Dash, and here's the starting lineup. 4 cars will go in this one. It's a short race. On the pole, a Californian, Mike Kirby, the preseason favorite in CRA, the guy who's dominated the series so far. From Arizona, home state driver Richard Griffin on the outside in that black number 4. An invader from the Midwest, Ohio's Jack Hewitt. And that dark blue number 91 starts on the inside of row 2. And Lealand McSpadden, probably the local favorite here in Arizona. The man from Tempe, the Tempe Tornado, starts on the outside. Looking for a green flag this time around. Car squirrely coming out of corner number 4. Now the green flag flies, but usually in a situation like this, it is not a start. Jeff, what do you think?
Oh, definitely, Larry. The pole sitter always has the first option of when to take the green and when to get on the gas, and obviously they'll throw the yellow and start back over here. Now again, they'll come back down, and I'm sure Kirby will definitely make sure that he's the man to get the green flag first.
A term I'm certain all of you have heard. It's a false start. Mike Kirby, as Jeff mentioned, he has the privilege of determining just exactly how this race should start. Now, this race is comprised of the 4 fastest qualifiers. Jeff, doesn't pay a whole lot of money, but is it important to win?
Oh, definitely. The guy who wins the Trophy Dash, especially if he comes from the back being the fast qualifier, he's going to be the man to beat. Right now we have a really difficult track. It's really rough. The guy who gets up front first is probably going to be the guy who wins this race.
This is the California Racing Association, but only one California driver in this race. He's the pole sitter, Mike Kirby. A cleaner start this time, and Mike Kirby grabs the initial lead. But watch out for the hazards of this racetrack. Look at there, trouble already.
Whoa, yeah, Mike Kirby, he definitely caught a right there in the middle of the corner. And as I said, this is a difficult track to drive, and the guy who gets out front normally is going to have the lead and keep the lead, because look at Hewitt. He's running right through the middle of the track. You have to run right through the holes, right through all the ruts, and that's the fast way around this track. Now, even he's having a lot of problems. It looks like if you don't have the car just right and get through the holes just right, you're going to have a lot of problems.
Jack Hewitt from Troy, Ohio. That's in the western part, the central western part of the state of Ohio. Does a lot of traveling around. The white flag comes out, signifying one more lap to go. Richard Griffin moves in.
He's got a shot at it now. He knows it's the white flag. Whoa, he lost a little bit coming off of turn 2 there. Looks like Hewitt's got a pretty comfortable lead, but those ruts could get him.
Corner number 4, last lap, checkered flag coming up in the helmet dash, the race of speed, and Ohio's Jack Hewitt brings home the number 1 position. Arizona's Richard Griffin there in the black number 4 a second, and Lealand McSpadden in a comfortable and observing 3rd place.
And as you notice, Jack Hewitt, after he took the checkered flag, rode the high side through 1 and 2. He might be trying something out, possibly for later on in the event.
Well, as you know, Ralph Shaheen is joining us on this broadcast down in the pit area. He'll have an opportunity now to talk to the winner of today's helmet dash, Jack Hewitt. Here's Ralph.
Well, Jack, first checkered flag of the afternoon goes to you, but you had a little trouble on that first start.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name. It was 59. He started up there and he hooked the rut a little bit and got her crossed up, and then I just bumped him a little, and it cost me and him a little bit. So luckily the first start didn't count.
And the second time when you finally did get underway, is it really just a survival to finish out there this afternoon?
Well, you know, you kind of got to be brave and smart out there today, and like the first lap down there coming out 2, I was brave, and then after that I tried to get smart.
Jack Hewitt, winner of the dash, Larry.
That helmet dash was, well, just showing off compared to this. Now, this is a series of preliminaries, another tradition in short track racing, and here's where the first real work of the day takes place. Qualifying, single car out there by yourself is not enough to get into the main event. You see Leland McSpadden again in that blue and white number 91. Remember, he had that quiet 3rd place in the helmet dash. In these heat races, only the top finishers move on to the main event. You must finish in the first 4 in order to qualify. This is the 5th position, one of those spots just outside of a transfer position, and back up near the front, battling for 2nd. Here comes the Tempe Tornado. There's McSpadden. He has moved from 6th. He was the fastest qualifier in this race, and now he's running 2nd.
You mentioned that nickname, Tempe Tornado. This is his kind of track, a rough track, really hard on the gas, right through the middle, through the ruts, and this is his type of track. He's really looking forward to this. Now he's catching Gary Howard, who got off to a pretty comfortable lead at the beginning, but it looks like McSpadden's starting to get his momentum, and here he comes.
Leland McSpadden to the inside of Gary Howard. He takes over the number 1 spot. McSpadden hits a rut at number 4, giving Howard 1 one last glimmer of hope, but Lealand McSpadden looks like he's on his way to victory.
Yeah, here we go back to Cary Faas, trying to get his rhythm down. Now, I tell you, rhythm on a rough track like this is really important, trying to find where your car works the best on the racetrack through what holes.
Cary Faas in the Valvoline painted red, white, blue, the distinguishable dark. Oh, and Cary Faas riding the bucking Bronco through corners number 3 and 4. Doesn't look like he is going to qualify for the main event here in this heat race number 1. Meanwhile, McSpadden was riding high, wide, and handsome. There's Faas again. Remember, they're just battling for 5th. Meanwhile, Lealand bringing the car out of corner number 4, looking for the checkered flag, and Lealand McSpadden finds himself in an enviable position, having qualified well, having learned a lot in this heat race. Looking forward to the feature. Heat race number 2 was next. Same scenario. Top 4 drivers get in. You're going to see a mix of California Racing Association regulars are running 1-2 right now. Ron Shuman and Billy Boat. And that visitor from the Midwest, Jack Hewitt.
I tell you, Boat just got really high coming off of 2, and now Hewitt battle for second between Billy Boat and Jack Hewitt. Hewitt's working the low side, Billy Boat's working the high side. Boat got a little bit out of shape there, and Hewitt got by him.
So Jack Hewitt looks like he's going to qualify the second of the Frank Lewis cars. McSpadden and his teammate. There is Ron Shuman in that red number 11. And Jeff, he has been the main man out here. It seems like forever, but it's only been 4 years.
Yeah, I tell you, he's the guy who knows how to win races and knows how to win a championship. And that's consistency. And that's what he's doing on the track right now. He's very consistent, nice smooth line around the top. He's not bobbling and getting out of shape as much as a lot of the other guys are. And that's why he's winning this heat race.
Some of the biggest names in sprint car racing history have been California Racing Association champions. That red number 11 with Ron Shuman behind the wheel. Ron has been the champion the past 4 seasons. Heat race number 3 must have felt like drawing the short straw for 5 other competitors, because you're going to see in this race a black red trim number 4, the light blue OK on the pole is Don O'Keefe. He was the pole setter in this race. Qualifying get you in it. But Richard Griffin is in this race, and if previous results so far this season meant anything, Jeff, everybody else was in for a tough race.
Not only this season, but today he's having a great afternoon, and I tell you, he's going to be tough. He's going to be tough in this heat race and all day long.
Well, O'Keefe knew that he was back there. He elected to bring the field around very slowly, hoping that he would be the first one to stand on the throttle and maybe give himself a chance to win this race. Green flag flies. O'Keefe did not even beat Kim Kraft, his fellow front row starter, off, but Richard Griffin immediately started to assert himself. You see him moving through the field. He started 6th, and by the time he had moved into 3rd position here on lap number 1, challenged the pole setter, it was very obvious that Richard Griffin was en route to victory. Despite very tricky track conditions, the heat races are coming off pretty much without a hitch. This is heat race number 4, and out front is the Ripper, and that maroon number 47, Rip Williams from Yorba Linda, California. Running second is Ricky Johnson from Arizona in that orange-trimmed white number 51, and third is Mike Kirby. Remember, he was one of the fast qualifiers, but struggling here in his heat.
Yeah, he sure is. He doesn't really know, or hasn't figured out where the car, where he wants to run yet. He's running the top, he's running the bottom, right through the ruts, through the middle, and he's just trying to figure out a way to possibly get around Ricky Johnson and get the car where he wants it to be.
But this heat would provide the first real drama of this afternoon. There it is, coming down the front straightaway. Don Tucker from Hawthorne, California, getting into the outside wall and taking a very nasty rollover. This is the nightclub owner who has decided that he wants to drive sprint cars. You see him slumped over in the car at this moment. There were some very anxious seconds here as the safety crew came to check him out. But let's take a look exactly what happened to Tucker. He did it all by himself, Jeff.
This is a very nasty flip, as you can see, that he's still on the gas, so that tells you he's not really in control of the car right now. He's just taking a really bad ride and just waiting for it to end. I've taken rides like this before, and you just never know when it's going to get over, but luckily he got out of it okay.
The speeds here this day were very deceptive. They didn't look all that fast, but once Tucker began his series of rolls, it was very obvious. Now, here's Tucker on the stretcher. He was removed to a local hospital, but later he was declared okay and released. But Rip Williams went on to win this race. Nearby Phoenix is the Valley of the Sun. This is America's Land of the Sun, the desert between Arizona and California, although it rained all day yesterday. Here's the last chance to get into the main event and the starting grid. On the pole is Bellflower, California, Steve Ostling. Starting in second, coming from the midget ranks, is Harlan Willis. In third is Jim Blenkarn in number 46X. Starting fourth is Sid Blandford Jr., the skier from Colorado. In fifth is Arizona's Mike Boat. Starting in sixth is the rookie Adam Mitchell. Seventh is Cary Faas, number 37, and Don O'Keefe is eighth. Starting in ninth position is Tom Downing, and 10th is Troy Cline. Here's a look at the rest of the starting grid. Remember, the top four finishers from this race are the last four that will graduate onto the main event. Jeff, as we anticipate green coming around this time, I've always felt that this is one of the most dangerous moments of a day in traditional short track racing, the last chance race.
Well, you hit it right on the button, the last chance race. This is your last chance to get into the race, and this is a good time for just to let it all hang out and really go for it. And it's the only time, because everybody in this race wants to make it into that feature event, and the feature event is where it all counts. And right now, they've got to make it count in this race so they can get into that race.
And this is the one race none of them want to run, particularly on a day like today with the conditions that we have. The track ownership here normally does an outstanding job of preparing the track, but their hands were tied because of torrential rain yesterday. There is Steve Ostling, one of the CRA regulars, one of the standout racers. There's Harlan Willis. Both of those drivers still looking for win number one on the trail.
And as you notice, a lot of these guys are having a difficult time. A sprint car is one of the most difficult type of race car to drive. You have 700 to 800 horsepower with these cars and a 12 or 1,300 pound car. Now that weight to horsepower ratio is very difficult to drive, and as you notice, a lot of these guys are having problems.
You're listening to Jeff Gordon, and Jeff is somebody you ought to know. He's been very successful in recent years in the sprint car. Matter of fact, remember, Jeff won the last two sprint car CRA races in which he competed. You never gave these guys a chance to get back at you, Jeff.
Well, I tell you, I didn't get to run with them too much on there, and we have a caution.
Now, we're looking around the racetrack and seeing no reason for it, but what happens so often, yeah, now we're getting the report, it is a debris yellow. The track is so rough like this, pieces break off.
Oh, yeah, these guys, they're taking an abuse. Those race cars are taking an abuse, and every once in a while, something might fall off, a piece of sheet metal. You never know what it might be. But yes, this track, as rough as it is and as hard as it is to drive, you're going to have a lot of abuse on the race car and the drivers.
So Steve Ostling gets a little bit of a break here, and make no mistake about it, track conditions like we have here today are also very demanding on the driver because he's being jostled around, he's trying to concentrate, it's very confusing, a lot of different forms of stimuli coming in, and it's not so easy to do.
As you see the car, he actually got away from the ruts in the middle of the track because just riding around there under caution at a slow pace, you can see how rough and deep those holes were. The cars are moving around a lot through those holes. You can imagine what it's like under speed through those holes.
There is Cary Faas in the Valvoline painted blue, number 37. Cary started this race in 8th position and has moved all the way up to 3rd. Now, as this afternoon wears on, Cary could be a big story.
Oh, yeah. He's come from, I think, the 8th position, 7th or 8th position. He's really made a strong run. He had a really good start, and that's what it takes. He's letting it all hang out, just like I said you got to do.
Well, a track like this really gives you an appreciation for the pressure involved in preparing one of these race cars, and the crews do just an outstanding job to take something like they're going through today. Here's Ralph down in the pits talking about one of the aspects of sprint car racing, a bleeder valve.
One form of technology unique to sprint car racing is the bleeder valve. And what that is this little valve here inside the tire. What it does is it allows the tire to breathe. The team can set the bleeder valve to a particular pressure. It will allow the tire to continue to dissipate air to stay at that air pressure that they want. That way they won't lose the stagger on the tire. They can digitally set that pressure and then leave it alone, and the car's tire will stay right where they want it.
Still under yellow flag in this semi-feature race. One of the most experienced CRA drivers of all time continues to lead. There is a pass back to the first 4 positions. Cary Faas bring it up. Steve Ostling has run 128 CRA main events in the past 4 seasons. Has he been active out here? You bet.
Wow, what a start. He got a really good jump there and got away from the field, and that's what he wants. He wants to get out there and get comfortable. The rest of these guys are really thrashing to get to the front.
On the right-hand side of the screen at the top, there's Cary Faas.
Faas. He made a good move on the outside, right through the middle, right through the ruts, right through the holes. And he's really working good through the corners.
This shot from high above the main grandstand, Jeff, you can begin to see some of the views. You just saw Ostling. He missed one of those smooth grooves.
Yeah, he definitely found the hole that he doesn't want to find again.
There is Harlan Willis running in 3rd position right now, and here's Cary Faas. Cary Faas looks to the inside of Willis. No, they've moved up to 2nd and 3rd. That's 2nd and 3rd right now. Cary Faas is the man in a hurry, the man on the move.
Hey, Cary Faas has a really good working car right now. Look at him. He can run high, he can run low, and he's really just trying to figure out a way to get around right now.
Jeff, we look at Faas's left side wheels. Looks like he's running moon disc. What's that?
Yeah, well, that's a new type of disc that a lot of guys are running to keep the mud out of the wheels, because what will happen is, especially on a track like this, you get mud and dirt packed in the wheels and will cause the wheels to get off balance and very bad vibrations.
Cary Faas has now moved into the runner-up position. Out front, however, there's Steve Ostling in that bright orange and white car.
He's gone.
Yeah, he really is. And Jeff, no mirrors, of course, in these cars. People who follow sprint car racing know that, but how can you tell how big of a lead you have or if somebody's behind you?
Unless your car is really working good and you know it's working good, there's no holding back. You're all out, and that's why I call it sprint car racing, because it's a dead sprint till the finish, and you're just hard on the gas, never looking back, always just go, 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 go.
There's Cary Faas again, who's digging not only for safety, trying to protect himself, but he would like to catch Ostling. And at this point in this semi-feature, with 2 guys out front, they're not only trying to do well in this race, but they're also practicing. They're the last hot drivers, so to speak, to have a chance at this racetrack before the main event.
When things don't go well in the heat races and you don't transfer to the main event right for your heat race, you gotta, there's a positive side to everything. The positive side to the last chance race is, hey, we get to find out what the track's going to be like right before the feature event. We know what to do and what not to do, and right now they're finding the fast groove and finding out where the holes are. And I tell you right now, Cary Faas, he knows that nobody's coming up behind him, so he can try different things. He can go low, go high. All he's trying to do is find out where a faster groove is to try to catch the leader.
White flag is coming out, signifying 1 more lap to go. There's Cary Faas. For a moment, he was pointing toward the top of the main grandstand.
The front wheels got off the ground, which does happen in sprint car racing.
Jeff, there's so little weight up there. It's always amazed me that you guys can control these cars.
I'll tell you, the art of sprint car racing is being out of control and in control at the same time, and sometimes I don't know whether I was in control.
Well, checkered flag is coming out, and Steve Ostling is going to be the first driver to move on to the main event, and coming in 2nd place in this race was Cary Faas. Welcome back to Yuma, Arizona, where you can enjoy the delights of the desert in full spring bloom, or what these people have come to see today, sprint car racing. This is the J.W.Hunt California Racing Association Classic. Here is the lineup. Starting on the pole, and one of the most historic numbers in the history of CR racing, number 98, Verne Sweeney. On the outside of row number 1 from Ventura, California, the graduate of TQ Racing, Harlan Willis. Inside of row number 2, Billy Bodie was 3rd in points a year ago. On the outside is Steve Ostling, one of the top contenders in CRA racing. In row number 3 on the inside is the white number 59 of Mike Kirby. In 1991, he won his first main event. The outside, perhaps, the pre-race favorite, Richard Griffin in the black, number 4. In 5th, to make that 7th and 8th starting position, first of all, from Troy, Ohio, the invader for the day, Jack Hewitt. And on the outside, the veteran Lealand McSpadden, the Tempe Tornado. The 5th row, 9th and 10th start, inside from Norwalk, California, Mike English, and Ron Shuman, the 4-time and defending CRA champion, on the outside. Here's the rest of the starting grid, 11th through 20th starting positions. Bobby Michnowicz on the inside of row 6 and Rip Williams alongside. In the 7th row, in the bright yellow number 20, Dennis Rodriguez, Brad Noffsinger riding shotgun. Row number 8, Ron Wolf in 67 and Ricky Johnson in the white number 51. Sid Blandford Jr. out of Colorado and Kim Kraft. And on the last row, Gary Howard in the black 75 on the inside and Cary Faas on the outside. Jeff, is this McSpadden and Griffin against the field?
I definitely think that they are the favorites. We got a little bit of a jump there on the start, and I don't think they'll go green there. I think they'll probably call that back. But no, I would definitely say Richard Griffin and Lealand McSpadden are probably the favorites for this event. But you can't ever overlook Ron Shuman, Billy Boat, Jack Hewitt. There's a lot of top competitors here, and yes, they did call that back. They threw yellow, so we're going to go for another start.
Harlan Willis got the gigantic step, the Mother May I Take a Chance step.
Yeah, he wished he would have got that start, right?
And we've got a problem here with Dennis Rodriguez and Cary Faas. There aren't a whole lot of parts on a sprint car, but there are just enough on the bumpers that can occasionally get hooked up.
Oh, you can definitely get hooked up, and I tell you, in open wheel cars, you definitely want to stay away from each other. You don't want to bump and bang in these cars.
Well, in these unusual track conditions, there are a few things that you can do that are unique to conditions like this that will make the cars work better. There you see Cary Faas trying to get Dennis Rodriguez to stop. We're going to go down to the pit area right now and check in with Ralph Shaheen, who followed up on a story about how to make the tires last under these conditions.
There are 3 brands of tires being used here today: Hoosiers, McCrary's, and Goodyear's, like this one. Now, most of the teams are running a mid-compound tire, about the middle of the range as far as hardness for a day race like this one today. Now, after 30 laps, most teams are telling me that this tire will be junked and have to be thrown away. They will run these tires at about 6 pounds of air pressure. Now, to help dissipate the heat on a day like today on a real rough racetrack, they will build up a lot of heat in these tires. Crews have come back and cut little slits in the tops of the tires, both going this way and down here, slitting them in half diagonally to help dissipate the heat and keep these tires together for 30 laps.
Well, it took a while, but we finally got Dennis Rodriguez and Cary Faas on hook. They had to stop to do it, but 40 laps to go. Let's see if we can come up with a better start this time around. That's Verne Sweeney, the red number 98, on the pole, bringing the field around. Harlan Willis on the outside. Remember, it's Sweeney's option how he wants to start this race.
The guys on the front row are definitely the ones that determine when they want to go. We saw this in the heat races, and now we're seeing it again. Had to jump the first time. Let's try to get a little bit better start this time. Looks like they're coming down pretty good.
The crowd anticipates green flag. We have a green flag and the race is underway. Willis goes to the high side again. He had a bit of an advantage coming down the front stretch, but Verne Sweeney hugging the curve down there. Looks like he pulls out. He is the first leader of this race.
The start of a sprint car race is always very exciting. I mean, look at these guys back and forth over the ruts, trying not to get into each other. They're trying to get their groove, trying to get to the front right away.
Lots of horsepower, lots of humanity, and very little space to do it in.
Oh, very little space. And you're finding right now they're building up 2 grooves, a bottom groove and a top groove. The middle is very tacky and very rough. So they're wanting to get their momentum and stay on the smooth parts of the racetrack.
There's Steve Ostling going to the high side of Verne Sweeney, coming out of corner number 4, and Steve Ostling, the man who has been running up front in CRA racing consistently, but yet never won the main event, takes the lead.
Yeah, he's looking really good. You know, he's got a nice line. He's staying out of the holes. If he keeps that up, he might pull away from these guys, which it looks like he's doing.
He's got to keep in mind, though, the conditions today are so different than what they normally are. This could be a matter of survival more than anything else.
Oh, definitely. We said it before. As much as rough as this track is, definitely saving your equipment, trying not to tear your equipment up, and also on the driver. This is we got some pretty wild action going on right now.
Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, right on the screen. Billy Bowden, the red number 3, bouncing over some ruts. There is Jack Hewitt on the right-hand side of your screen, the blue number 91, right in the center. Richard Griffin, Mike Kirby, still holding his own, running the conservative line. Kirby could be running the best line of this race so far.
I tell you, you watch Billy Bowden, you watch Richard Griffin. These guys are really running the track hard.
slight nudge, slides right into it, but a serious accident here on the front straightaway among some of the top contenders for the win here. There's Jack Hewitt from Ohio climbing out. Apparently he's okay.
There's 3 or 4 cars there that were definitely a threat to win this race today, and now it looks like they might be out of that.
You see Richard Griffin climbing out slowly of his damaged car. Jeff will take a look at the replay on this and see if we can find out exactly what happened. I just caught it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah, let's see here. Oh, it looks like Hewitt somehow got over Griffin, and when he came down, it just the right rear caught the mud.
Right over Ron
Shuman, and Griffin got back into the wall. It must have torn up the left front or the right rear. Hewitt took a pretty nasty little ride there.
He certainly showed us why they put roll cages, if not wings, on these cars. The roll cage really did its job, particularly for Ron Shuman, as Jack Hewitt was pirouetting right on top of Ron.
Well, a very tough Jack Hewitt. You got right out of that thing. You all right?
Yeah, we Richard hit a hole and he kind of come up and got a little crossed up, and I'd gotten a good bite, and I just hit him, and I don't know, after that everything just kind of took off.
You had a pretty good run going, though. Every time you got up into the top side of the groove, you were able to make up some ground in a hurry.
Well, I was faster than the guys on the front of me on the bottom, but I couldn't get around them, and I was trying to get me away picked around the top, but we run out of laps, it looks like.
A very tough Jack Hewitt. He's okay for today.
All right, Ralph, thank you very much. Yuma, Arizona, this is the J.W.Hunt Sprint Car Classic. Steve Ostling is our leader. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Yuma in the sprint car races. We've had a red flag that resulted in no injury. The track conditions are certainly a big topic here today. Ralph Shaheen is standing by, can bring us up to date on that.
As we get set to go back to green here this afternoon, the biggest problem developing on the racetrack is right here in turn 4. Right over my shoulder, you can see on the inside of this corner a very, very deep rut. If you get stuck on the inside coming out of turn number 4, that rut could make or break your race.
Well, Jeff, have you ever seen anything quite like that in a sprint car race?
That was not a rut. That was a huge hole.
That was a cavernous opening in the earth is what that was.
The cars are going to hide inside that, I think.
Oh, I think so. There is Verne Sweeney. He is running in second. Kirby is third. Fourth is Billy Boat, getting ready to go green flag. Steve Ostling, remember, he's never won one of these main events, is still leading as we go back to green.
He's really looking good through all the holes, and as bad as the racetrack is right now, as tough as the racetrack is to get around, he's doing a heck of a job at it.
Yuma, Arizona. This is said to be a 3/8 mile racetrack, but it's a long 3/8. It's bordering on a half mile. It's semi-banked. You see the lead that Steve Ostling has built up. He's got about a football field. Oh, and he hits one of those ruts, flies into the air. A football field ahead of Verne Sweeney in the red number 98.
Right now, what Steve needs to do is really find a good line and get consistent and find out where the car wants to work, where he feels most comfortable, get comfortable, and try to pull away. I saw he hit a wreck going into one there and got him in some trouble. Now we got Shuman back underway.
Yeah, Ron Shuman has effected repairs. He was involved in that crash in the front straightaway that took out Richard Griffin and Jack Hewitt. And Ron Shuman is working his way to the back of the pack. 4 times this man has been the California Racing Association champion. He's very good at these races.
Doesn't look like he hurt that car too much. He's really coming back through there. Wow, look at those holes. I tell you, those are some serious ruts.
Jeff, I have a feeling in a case like this, with a racetrack like this, Ostling right now has the fastest car. His biggest enemy may be his own emotion. He's got to think about this, remember where the holes are, and race to go around them.
Oh, exactly. And I tell you, right, like I said, he just needs to, actually, it's hard to calm down on this type of racetrack, as rough as it is. But if he can calm down and just get in a pace, get in a nice, smooth pace, he's gonna run away. Now they're battling for second back here. Looks like, oh, Lealand McSpadden's he's really coming up, and it looks like he's starting to get this track pretty figured out. He's battling with Verne Sweeney for second.
Well, McSpadden was the fastest qualifier, started in 8th position. Verne Sweeney, and that number 98, he has one career CRA win. Ironically, it took place in Arizona, but at Phoenix's Manzanita Speedway. There's Lealand. Looks like he had the advantage, but he caught one of those ruts down in the bottom and straightened his car out. He was unable to go through with that patented broad slide through corner number 2.
You'll notice that Lealand's working the bottom groove right almost through the middle. Both him and Sweeney are. And leader is running more of a high line, and I don't know which is working better. Right? Whoa, he got a little out of shape there, and they're really catching him now.
Steve Ostling jumped so high he was forced to get out of the throttle, and it really cost him the big advantage that he had. And as you pointed out, Jeff, the second running Verne Sweeney and the third running Lealand McSpadden had an opportunity to get as close as they have been really since the green flag dropped.
It looks to me like driver fatigue here a little bit. I noticed he's getting beat around, and I'm sure a lot of the drivers are having a problem with the holes, not only with beating the race cars up, but also themselves. And it really looks like his head's bouncing around a lot, and he's having a lot of problems keeping the car under control.
Verne Sweeney is definitely moving in on Steve Ostling. You talk about driver fatigue. Lealand McSpadden on the outside there in the white and blue number 91 is the eldest of this trio. He is 46 years old. Are we going to have a change for the lead? They're side by side, and it looks like Sweeney takes over the number 1 position. McSpadden may be the eldest at 47, but ironically enough, he may be the toughest of this trio. Here is an outstanding physical specimen for his age, although he had to survive a midget race about 15 minutes ago. He won that, so he may be tired, but he's showing no signs of it now as he is the next one to move under Ostling.
He's definitely moving up, and he's starting to, he's getting a really good rhythm. He knows where the big holes are and where his car likes to go, and he looks like he's going to make a challenge for the lead here any second.
They just put a lap on Sid Blandford Jr. McSpadden looked like he had some ideas of going to the high side, but he went up to the middle of the racetrack, caught a run, and immediately ducked down low again.
I think right now what Leland's looking for is for Sweeney to make a mistake, because they're both running the same line, so he's really waiting for him to make a mistake, and he's going to shoot on by. But I think that Leland really has as faster of a car.
If you were wondering what the drivers think about these conditions, they are very understanding of what track management went through to prepare this track. And Jack Hewitt got on the microphone earlier today and said, we all understand this was not the fault of anybody here at Yuma or track preparation. This was just nature, and we all understand the conditions. It's the same for everybody, and we've just got to race around it. This is just one of those situations that the race drivers as a group have to work against today.
Here comes Billy Bode on the outside. He's really, oh, and there goes the challenge for the lead. Looks like Leland got him. And here comes Billy.
Oh, Billy Bode rim riding right up along the fence on that cushion, coming up with the slower traffic of Dennis Rodriguez, and McSpadden goes to the high side. Bode is trying to keep the RPMs up. McSpadden hurt him, Jeff.
Had to have hurt him. He had to know he was there because he moved right up into his line. And I tell you what, he's been working the high side the whole race, and he's really starting to get it figured out right now. It's a lot smoother up there. You're not going to bounce around and lose as much ground up there.
You can see Leland, he changes his line just a little bit as Bode gets closer. Leland senses it, and he moves up to the middle of the track and makes the lane for Bode much narrower.
Now see, when Billy has to go around the outside, he's making the track so much longer. It actually makes the track probably twice as long, where Leland, he's running right around the bottom. As long as he can stay smooth and consistent around the bottom, he could possibly pull away and definitely stay in the lead.
Steve Ostling is currently running in 4th position. There is Cary Faas going to the inside. Well, not quite this time, but Faas and Shuman both have come from the back. Cary Faas started last. He started 20th in this field. He's had a great drive. And remember, Shuman was involved in that crash, so effectively he's come from 20th position also. Whoa! Oh, and Cary Faas, he made, I think, a calculated mistake in that instance.
Well, it's hard not to make a mistake on a track like this. There's a lot of holes out there, and it's very easy to get in trouble, especially when you're running wheel-to-wheel with other cars like that. So it looked like, to me, he just got into a hole and really couldn't control it and got into another car.
A big disappointment for Cary Faas, who would come all the way from the back. However, up front, it looks like Leland McSpadden is about ready to assert himself. We'll be back. J.W.Hunt, America's modern-day answer to a land bear, and he utilizes his holdings to grow fruits and vegetables. He's known as the Strawberry King, and he's probably the greatest friend of the open-wheelers from coast to coast. Today's race is called the J.W.Hunt Classic.
J.W. Hunt's a great person. I've worked with him several times. Now we're taking the green flag. Wow, McSpadden got a really big jump off of the turn 4.
The Lots of contesting going on for second, third on back, but Lealand McSpadden really taking advantage. Sometimes being a veteran will pay off for you. You know just how to bring the field around. He's very well versed under track conditions just like this. This could be a new environment for many of these younger drivers, but for good old Lealand McSpadden, he knows how to turn the steering wheel and stand on the gas.
He's really got the car working well through the holes, and he got up on 2 wheels there. Even though he's working well, he's still having a few problems, but there isn't a car out there that's going to be perfect, but he's really taking a beating.
Oh, Lealand caught that huge rut there in corner number 4, but Jeffy stayed on the gas, and many times that's how you save yourself, by staying on the gas, not getting out.
Exactly. You got to stand on the gas. If you let the wheels or the tires slow down, you're really going to hook a rut, and it's going to get you in more trouble than it will to stand on the gas.
Ron Shuman on the right-hand side of your screen. He's 5th place. Oh, we've had somebody over the fence. We've got a car upside down. That is corner number 4. Look at that hole in the sign.
Wow.
About 8 feet off of the ground. Somebody has really gotten high. At this point, do not know who it is. The safety crew's headed that way. Getting a report, Jeff, I'm told that it's Billy Boat, so the man has been running the cushion.
Wow, you know, he's been running the high side. He really looked good up there, and I don't know exactly what happened, but he must have just caught a bad rut up there on the cushion.
Billy obviously had made the decision that if he was going to win this race today in this car, he was going to have to run the high side. He had seen both Verne Sweeney and Lealand McSpadden take the lead down in the bottom, and Billy had committed himself up top. Although, Jeff, that gives you less room to maneuver in case you make a mistake or something goes wrong. Let's take a look at it, see if we can find out what happened.
Yeah, as we see here, it looks like Billy just either caught something on the cushion, got into the guardrail, got over the guardrail, and then caught the left side back down and threw him right back out into the billboard. Let's talk to Ralph Shaheen.
Okay. Billy, wild ride, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, just a little disappointed.
Car just got a little too far up on the cushion for you?
Yeah, I just kept moving closer and closer to the fence, and I don't know if I caught a rut there or I just got her in too deep or what, but I just caught the fence pretty hard and then just turned to the fence and turned over.
Well, unfortunately for Billy Boat, a spectacular ride ending in spectacular fashion.
Well, Ralph, this red flag gives the drivers a very welcome rest. This is a tough racetrack for sprint car racers today. Back at Yuma, Arizona, where the hunt is about to resume, if you allow a play on words. This is the J.W.Hunt Classic, and right now the fox, the sly one, the veteran, is Lealand McSpadden up front, and all the hounds are behind him, but I don't think the hounds have much of a chance this time.
He sure is awful strong. I'll find it pretty hard. Somebody might snooker him on this start, but the way he's been going on the last restart, I don't think they'll do it. Here we are back to green again, off turn 4, and Lealand had a nice jump. The car is really working good. It's got good bite. The car's working good through the corners.
Look who's running second. That white car, as we go back and look at the battle for 4th. Back to the second story just a moment. There is Ron Shuman, because he has really been putting on a show in the recent laps, just getting underneath Pratt and Noffsinger for 4th.
Yeah, I tell you, he's got a really good chance of getting 3rd here. He's come from a long ways back. He was in a crash early in the race, and now he's making a run at 3rd place.
And as we watch leader McSpadden, second running is Mike Kirby, whom we have not called very much at all today because he hasn't been bouncing around. He hasn't had some daring passes with other competitors. Just running down there in the bottom, stroking it, but moving into second.
Those quiet guys are the ones that'll get you. They'll sneak up on you and get you when you're least expecting it.
Ron Shuman again. Now he's challenging Verne Sweeney for 3rd position. That number 98 on Sweeney's car. His uncle, Max Sweeney, had that, as did the famous Agajanian sprint car in CR Racing. One of the most famous numbers of all time in this division.
Coming down, took the white flag now. Leland's got a pretty comfortable lead.
Shuman may have blown it.
I think Shuman and Sweeney is really our only battle right now for 3rd, and Leland's definitely got a comfortable lead. He's going to win this race. Great race for him.
Lealand McSpadden wins for the 57th time in his career in CRA competition. There's a great battle for 3rd position, and right at the line, Ronnie Shuman somehow pulls it out. 2nd went to Mike Kirby, and Verne Sweeney, after a great drive, was relegated to 4th position. But I think that McSpadden really showed us what it means to be a veteran and to think about racing.
Today's racetrack was where experience experience is going to be the key, and experience is what's going to win the race, and it did for him. He's got a lot of experience on a track with a lot of ruts. You've got to really work your way around him. I tell you, that finish there for third, that was almost too close to call.
Almost a photo finish there. Jeff, what about Billy Boat? I mean, I feel as though he probably showed us the most excitement. Was he on the right track trying to move up to that cushion where nobody else was?
Well, I think early in the race, the cushion was really good, and everyone was having a lot of problems going through the ruts, figuring their way out through the holes. He had a nice smooth line up top, had his momentum up, but later in the race, the cushion almost got too far out. It was making the track too big, and he was really having to run too high of line and got himself in trouble, still trying to figure it out. I don't know. You know, he got in trouble, and we'll never find out now. On
a track like this, would you have rather had a wing or not?
Well, a wing will definitely make the car go through the holes a lot better, and you don't have to worry about the car bicycling or on its top as much, so, but you're going to be going a lot faster also. We got Ralph Shaheen now down with the winner of the race, Lealand McSpadden.
This big, beautiful trophy is going to this guy right here, Lealand McSpadden. Lealand, the CRA was designed to show a driver's style, and today you showed the style of a lifetime. What a great drive for you.
Well, thank you. You know, the racetrack was pretty rough, like we talked about earlier, because of getting the rain last night. It got some soft spots, but my guys did a really good job getting the car set up, and we communicate real well, so we just worked the thing out, and everything went as good as you could have. When you can win 2 main events on the same day, you can't have it any better than that.
How did you have this car set up? Because it went wherever you wanted to and responded well.
Well, we went out earlier, you know, on the dash, and we tightened the car up quite a bit just to see how tight we could get away with. And then we came back in and talked about it and went to a half, you know, kind of a medium setup. And some places were a little bit tight, some places were a little bit loose, but overall the car was real good for the way the racetrack was.
Well, Larry, we had a real rough racetrack here today, and Lealand McSpadden was the guy who figured it out first, the winner of our main event here today.
Ralph, you're right. Not only overall was the car pretty good, but so was Lealand McSpadden.
And he is a classical guy, as you could see there in his interview. He's a super person and also a super race car driver.
Jeff, you're a stock car driver now. This is tough track conditions, but once a sprint car driver, always a sprint car driver. Pangs of nostalgia as you watched?
Oh, I've been on some racetracks that has had some holes like that one, and they were definitely interesting, I guess I should put it. And a racetrack like that is very, very challenging, and the guy who really knows how to conquer that racetrack is the guy who's going to come along or away with the win. And Lealand McSpadden did that today. Great job, Lealand.
So we depart Yuma, Arizona, as do the California Racing Association drivers, and Lealand McSpadden also goes home with the early season points lead after today. For Jeff Gordon and the entire California Racing Association contingent, this is Larry Nuber saying so long from Yuma, Arizona, and we'll see you the next time at the races.